What if I told you that the strongest people you'll ever meet aren't surrounded by fans, friends, or fame? In fact, they're usually walking alone. It's not the easy path. It's not the celebrated one. But the path walked alone is the one that forges the strongest steel. Let me tell you about Mike. At 22, he walked away from his friend group. Not because of betrayal, not because of an argument or some dramatic falling out, but because they wanted different things. They laughed when he said he wanted to start a business. They mocked his 5 a.m. mornings, his meal preps, his weird obsession with books and learning. Every time he talked about his dreams, their eyes rolled. Every time he tried to change, they pulled him back to the old ways. So he walked alone. No applause, no validation, just silence and purpose. For months, Mike heard nothing but his own doubts echoing in the early mornings and late nights. When there was no one to text, no parties to go to, no one to check in and see how he was doing, he was left with only himself. But in that solitude, something extraordinary happened. He started hearing himself. Not the voices of his friends, not the expectations of his family, not the noise of the world. Just his own thoughts, his own drive, his own vision. See, when you walk alone, you strip away the noise. You stop being what others expect of you, and you start becoming who you were meant to be. Because strength, real strength, isn't built in a crowd. It's built in quiet. It's built in those moments when you're the only one who believes in your dream. It's built in the silence, when you're forced to find your own reasons, your own why. Think about it. Every legend we admire, warriors, philosophers, leaders, had to retreat before they returned. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, meditated in silence while ruling the Roman Empire, finding clarity in solitude. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated samurai, mastered the sword in solitude, away from the distractions of society. Even the bamboo tree spends 5 years growing underground, invisible, before it breaks the soil. Then it shoots up 90 feet in just 5 weeks. Growth happens in the unseen, in the quiet, in the alone. So, why is the path alone so powerful? Because it's uncomfortable. And discomfort is where the growth lives. When you're alone, there's nowhere to hide from your weaknesses. You're forced to confront your fears, your insecurities, your limitations. You can't blame anyone else. You can't wait for someone to push you. You become your own motivator, your own coach, your own critic. No one's coming to save you. And that's the gift. Picture a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is heated, beaten, shaped, and strengthened, alone in the fire. There's no audience, no applause, just the relentless hammering that turns raw steel into a blade. That's what walking alone does. It forges you. It strips away the unnecessary, leaving only what's real, what's strong, what's true. 2 years later, Mike's business is thriving. He's built something from nothing, not because it was easy, but because he refused to quit. Some of his old friends reach out. They say, "Wow, you've changed." They see the results, the success, the confidence. But they didn't see the nights he almost quit. The mornings he rose in pain. The days of silence that built the voice he now speaks with. They see the outcome, but not the journey. They see the mountain, but not the years it took to rise. So if you're alone right now, if your path feels quiet, thank the silence. The lion doesn't need the jungle to cheer when it roars. The mountain stands still, not because it wants attention, but because it is complete. Walking alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means you're brave enough to face yourself, strong enough to build something no one else sees yet. Here's to the early risers, the dreamers without cheerleaders, the fighters without fans. Here's to those who wake up before the sun, who work on their craft when no one's watching, who keep moving forward when the world is silent. Keep walking. Because the road may be silent, but the destination is loud. The world will notice eventually, but by then, you won't need their validation. You'll have built your own. You'll have become the kind of person who doesn't need applause to keep going, who doesn't need company to feel strong. You'll have learned to trust the quiet, to grow in the dark, to walk alone and become unbreakable. So if this spoke to you, if you're walking your own quiet path, Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Remind them that they're not alone, even when they're walking alone. And remember, the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and the loudest victories are born in the quietest moments. Keep going, keep building, keep walking. Because one day, the silence will give way to the roar of your own success, and you'll realize the journey alone was always worth it.